Water is the driving force of all nature. Leonardo da Vinci. That being the case, I guess we should get water to our raised garden beds so they can actually produce something. And the best way to start getting water to the beds, obviously, is with a chainsaw. Before we could start running the lines for our raised beds, I first had to clear a tree that fell in our front yard during a windstorm over the weekend. I will most likely have to clear all of these trees as I'm starting to see some signs of rot in all of them. And I'm not heartbroken about it because it will give me an excuse to buy something new that we are really happy with and plant in place of what was there. Once that was done, we uncovered the beds from the rain and late snowstorms that we got. Then fluffed up the beds and added some organic fertilizer to the soil to help jumpstart things. We used Espoma's organic biotone starter plus fertilizer that we bought at a local nursery, and this 1 4-pound bag was plenty for the 7 raised beds that we have in our little backyard garden. We did the math and spread it evenly through all of the beds, then simply just mixed it into the soil. After all that was done, we could finally get back to the irrigation for the raised beds. After doing the research on all the different ways we could run the lines and the materials we could use, one thing was for sure. This is way too much pressure for what we need. To convert this to something that is usable, I started with a faucet connection kit. This will convert the hose bib to a usable drip irrigation system, reducing it down to about 25 psi from upwards of 80 psi.
I think so.
For the main line to go from the bib to each bed, we used a 1/2-inch polyethylene pipe to make it easier to bend around to get to all of the beds. The pipe comes in 100-foot lengths, which was more than enough for our garden, and even left me with some for any future repairs. To run up from the main line to the beds, I used self-puncturing clips that put a hole in the main line and clamp around it to secure it in place. The barbed connector on this puncturing clip is 1/4 inch, so I then took 1/4 inch tubing to run it up the side of the bed, cut it to length, then put a 90-degree elbow on it so I could connect my emitter tubing. We used this emitter tubing that came in 50-foot length with already installed emitters at every 6 inches. We roughly ran that through the beds to get an idea of what we might want, cut it, then staked it down, and moved on to the next bed.
Okay, come here.
Once everything was in place, it was time to flip the switch to test the system. And everything seemed to be in working order. We'll have this drip irrigation system for our raised beds tied into our main irrigation for the lawn, which is all tied into my automatic controller. That way I can just set it up on a schedule and let it do its thing. We'll watch the system for any kind of leaks or trouble spots that we might have and adjust accordingly. And from here, the next step for the garden is, well, planting. It's now been never ends with that pup. It's been a week since we've ran all the lines and we planted everything. Things are looking good, but I'm sure everybody's wondering what we planted. But I'm sure everybody is wanting to know what we planted, so we'll walk you through all of that.
Sure. This is our bed with tomatoes, basil, and marigolds. We have Mountain Spring, a couple of those, some super sweet 100, and Roma tomatoes. And we have basil intermixed here with marigolds around the edges. We planted those as seed, so we'll just see how that goes. This is our first time and we are learning.
Next.
And this whole bed is just strawberries. I think they are all-star strawberries. This is our bed with bell peppers. We have red, green, and some jalapenos.
And so real quick, these 3 beds are all just from seed, right?
Right, we did direct sow from seed. I think that's how you say it.
I think that sounds right.
Sounds right. We direct sowed some seeds right in there. These were all starter plants.
So we have 3 beds that were starter plants and 3 beds that we direct sowed from seed.
Yeah. So this one we have onion, radishes, and green beans. This one is watermelon and cantaloupe with, I don't know how to pronounce the name of that flower, nasturtiums?
We don't, let us know how to say that.
It's a flower that's supposed to be good for growing with plants.
We'll go with that.
Right here is corn, sweet corn, and cucumber.
And then the kids here on this bed that Pa and Ma-in-law gave us, they planted some, oregano? No.
Thyme and cilantro.
The kids planted some thyme and cilantro, so this will be their bed that they take care of.
Yeah, they're very excited about it.
So obviously our first rodeo doing all of this, so we're going to learn as we go along and document all of it. What do we have to trestle? Do we need to move the irrigation lines around, reconfigure that a little bit, add to it? We don't know. This is new to both of us. So,
and I wanted to experiment with lots of different plants, so I kind of maybe jam-packed them a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just take note, adjust accordingly, and go from there.
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna be okay with some success, but also okay with some failure. It's how we learn.
That's right.
I can only spend so much time on YouTube and books and the internet. Sometimes you just have to dive right in.
Get your hands dirty.
Exactly.
Hopefully these plants will survive and thrive. If not, well, hopefully we will have learned something and do better the next time. One thing I am certain about is the fact that some memories were created spending some time with the family, with our hands in the dirt together in the garden.